Look out, boxing fans. It's your boy Ash. Maybe about half a cup from being wrong. I want to talk about how basically everybody is talking about Keith Thurman. Why not? Nobody wants to defend their position as to why they're not feeling Keith Thurman. And at the same time, I'm feeling him. I think the dude shows a lot of promise. He was a pretty good amateur, has a great trainer. He says everything, all the right things, and I'm not talking about just being politically correct. He speaks like a fighter normally speaks, a fighter that wants to fight everybody that's out there, wants to fight all the best, even these guys that are on the big Mayweather tip. Back in the game, before Money Mayweather took over the sport, there was Pretty Boy Floyd, and even Pretty Boy Floyd used to say, I just want to fight the best they got out there. That's the guy we need today. I don't know who the hell this Money Mayweather character is, but I digress. We talking about Keith Thurman. He's a very promising fighter. Good hand speed, good foot speed, good power, punch placement, power in both hands. And he's calling out everybody, and he genuinely wants to fight the best fighters they have in the world. And based on that, you got, as a fan, you should be a fan of Keith Thurman. You should want to see more of him. And because of politics and the fact that he doesn't have an established fan base, he's being overlooked for fights. They want to season him, they want to groom him, and they want to grow him into the position where he can challenge these guys. At the point where they feel that he's ready, not at the point where he feels he's ready. He feels he's ready right now. And, he has a very good upside. He's been fighting legit challenges, good contenders. Jesus Soto Carras being the last guy he knocked out. Carras being a traveler. He's fought everybody. Diego Chavez in a fight that Keith Thurman basically had to show he had the ability to adapt because he got hurt early. And instead of just going in trying to bum rush Diego Chavez, switched the game plan up and began to box. Take what's given, and through the course of round by round, he would continually assert himself until the stoppage came, because both of those guys can hit. They have some real good hitting power. So Keith Thurman basically got the boxing world going crazy. They're in a frenzy for him. He's very marketable in the things that he says and the way that he conducts himself, of course. His interviews make you think that he wants to be the best. I mean, I'm a fan of him, no doubt. But a lot of guys are sold that he is the goods and he is going to take over the welterweight division, and I assume the 154-pound division in due time, which could happen. It's boxing. It can happen. He could be next. He could be the next star. I'm not going to say he's not. But a dude like your boy Ashy Knuckles, man, I done seen guys like Keith Thurman come and go too many times. And though I am impressed with him, indubitably, I am impressed with the way he handles his business, always comes in shape, dispatches these guys very quickly, as early as possible. The very moment you give him, for him to stamp you out of there, homie, his deuces to you. You are gone. You know what I'm saying? And as of right now, it appears that he is primed to take over the division. He's being overlooked. Guys like Paulie Malignaggi, two-time world champion, overlooking Keith Thurman. Marcos Maidana didn't fight him. And he's not even just straight calling Mayweather out. He's like, I want to earn it. I want to get to the point where he can't look no further but to look at me. Gotta respect that. Gotta respect anybody who's willing to put in the work, the time, the effort in building himself to be the #1 challenger, as opposed to one of these alphabet soups placing him in the number one spot like they did Canelo. No disrespect to Canelo, because I beat him up for a long time until he earned that respect from me for being a beast. I know he's a beast now. A lot of people not giving him his just due, but I know he's a beast now. I know for sure he's a beast now. You know what I'm saying? But before, I used to get on him, so. And it's because he had a lot of favor, you know, in the sport of boxing. But he really is genuinely at heart, he a real fighter. He just happens to have high profile promoter. He have the looks in terms of what you can market at, you know, in the business side. You can't hate the man for getting it how he gets it, but at heart, that boy Mexican. He a field fighter at heart. So I ain't gonna hate on the boy. I ain't gonna hate on Keith Thurman either, but the reason why I'm just not sold on Keith Thurman is, like I said before, I've seen guys like this come and go. You know, guys come into the game, knockout reels, mixing dudes up, big time power, one punch power, knocking guys out. And over the course of time, they would end up running into somebody who would basically foil the plans and show that they're just like every other fighter. I'm not saying that Keith Thurman is like every other fighter. He may be among the best at the weight. In due time, he may be the best at the weight. But as of right now, he's an emerging fighter looking for the right fight to show that he is among the best at the weight. In this video, I don't want anybody to take this as a shot. You know, there's a lot of guys online who I got a lot of respect for that are high on Thurman, like your boy 78, your boy Zone. Several, I think Rilo feeling them too. You know, I think it's a lot of guys that's feeling Keith Thurman D-style. I'm feeling him. I think he's tight. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not hopping on that bandwagon as he is the best. Nah. It's been guys that's been at this weight, that's been putting in the work before him, been fighting way more solid opposition, still beating guys that are at the top of their game. Regardless if they're getting hit and fighting and stuff like that. But it's boxing. You're going to get hit. I mean, ain't no avoiding it. You're not going in there with a protective shield like a knight. You know what I'm saying? In the medieval times, you don't have no protective armor on. You can't block every punch. Punches hurt. Some of them are going to get through. So that's not a valid argument for any fighter in today's game. But when you're looking at the body of work, you cannot say that he's the best. But he's damn sure knocking on the door. But like I said, I've seen guys like Keith Thurman come and go. Let's talk about Kermit Cintron. You know, when he was coming up through the ranks, he was stamping everything out. And that's one thing you cannot take away from that boy Cintron. Whatever he hit, he hurt. He hurt. And he was knocking guys out. He would come up through the ranks. He was being promoted by main events. Main events, famously known for, in today's era, for promoting Arturo Gatti, Fernando Vargas, Juan Diaz, Rocky Juarez. This was early when they were putting these guys on NBC. Panchito Bajado, another guy that was highly touted, tremendous talent, never won a world title. No, but he was touted to do great things, and he ain't do shit. So I'm just saying the verdict is out. I mean, enough time hasn't gone by for everybody to whip out the crown and the scepter and the throne to just give it to the guy. You know, it's not gonna happen that quickly. He got to continue to establish himself as one of the best. And like I said, for Kermit Cintron, Kermit the Killer Cintron, he was being touted by various boxing websites as being the guy to be the best welterweight in the world. He would get into the ring with solid opposition along the way, at least at the latter half of his undefeated streak. You know, and he ran into a guy like Teddy Reed, who's a known puncher. That's one thing Teddy Reed could do, was punch. I mean, Teddy Reed actually killed a guy, you know, from sustained damage for being in the ring with him. And by the time he fought somebody who was basically on his level or above, he had piled a very impressive record of 23-0 with 21 knockouts. Well, the guy he would eventually fight was Antonio Margarito. And Margarito beat the dog shit out of Kermit Cintron, really exposed all the broad in him. well, I ain't gonna say abroad, but he made them realize that there are other killers in the division along with themselves, guys who are not gonna wilt because you have a big punch. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have the right game plan, or if there is any chinks in the armor, and I game plan for it, and I go to camp, basically trying to dissect everything you do well and what I can take away from you. Guess what? You ain't the killer everybody said you are. And in that fight, it was revealed to Kermit Cintron that all the hype that he was getting along the way wasn't warranted, and he would lose that first fight, and he would end up losing again later on down the line. But that's just one guy. I've seen guys like Keith Thurman come and go. I'm not sold on them yet. And I know any of these videos that are addressed about guys hating on Keith Thurman, you know, I ain't never hated on him, but you know me, I haven't held my tongue of not being sold on them yet, and this is why, because I don't see no videos explaining why they ain't sold, whoever the videos is talking to, but I'm explaining why I'm not sold. I like them, but I'm not sold. Another guy recently that was on the rise, stamping guys out of their brutal power, just crazy power, from Canada, named David Lemieux. David Lemieux had, you know, started taking the boxing world by storm. Everything they put in the ring with him, he was knocking them out. Crazy, big power, and he do got big power still. If I'm not mistaken, David Lemieux was starting to make his name on the undercard of Lucian Bute undercards. Just knocking out contender after contender, compiling an impressive resume, an impressive numerical resume of 25-0 with 24 knockouts. I think only one of those fights after the 25 went the distance. And then he would run into a guy who had, you know, been in the middleweight division for a long time, made his name, had ups and downs, had good skills. He was a guy who was also highly, touted, had a lot of fans riding his bandwagon until he ran into somebody named Kofi Jantua, who was another guy who could punch. This guy got highlight reels. He African, and he really couldn't box that good. But if you get hit at the end of one of them punches, it's good night, Irene. And that's what happened to him. And his name is Marco Antonio Rubio. And Marco Antonio Rubio got in the ring with David Lemieux and exposed all his vulnerabilities to him. And suddenly that bandwagon just started to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Not saying he wasn't warranted. David Lemieux is a tough guy, and he does got talent. But your boy Ash don't jump on bandwagons that easy. You have to make me jump on that bandwagon. You have to keep stepping up that competition until you fighting guys who are among the best right along with you. And I think David Lemieux ended up losing to Joaquin Alcine too in this. I think either two fights after that or one fight after that. Alcine is another Canadian guy. He can box pretty good. He's pretty much shot right now, but at the top of his game, I think he ended up beating one of the twins, Tarvis and Travis Sims. I think Travis Sims was the one that he beat. Travis Sims was another undefeated junior middleweight. He was a champion until he ran into Alcine, and Alcine beat David Lemieux. So, you know, David Lemieux, he's been trying to come back from those times. I think after those two defeats, he's been pretty much undefeated. Had a couple of fights in 2013. They're slowly building him back to where he needs to be, I guess, until he's able to challenge a guy like Triple G, you know, P-Rog, or somebody in the 160-pound weight division. But before that defeat, when he was beaten by Rubio, David Lemieux was another one that was highly touted. Bandwagons, guys jumping on the bandwagon saying he was the best, he was going to take over. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. You have to wait your turn. You have to wait until these guys are facing the best among the best before you start crowning them. I don't crown nobody until they do what they're supposed to do. Like I said before, I said it earlier, this ain't no shot at nobody. This is just Ash responding to, you know, everybody. And I'm not picking out one person, but it's a lot of people that are high on Keith Thurman, as well as I am. But I'm not crowning him yet. He ain't done enough. in the sport to warrant him being crowned. He just shows a lot of promise and he says the right things, and everybody that they put in front of him, he's stamping them out of there like he's supposed to do if he's going to be among the best. And I'm not hating on him. I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do, but until he fights the right type of opponent to where you can't do nothing but put the crown on him and give him the scepter and let him sit on that throne, I'm not going to give it to him. I'm just going to keep letting you know about guys who are also in that same predicament. Let's go to the heavyweight division. It was an African guy. They called him the Nigerian Nightmare. His name was Sam Peter. You know, the United States have been looking for that dominant heavyweight. Of course, we're accustomed to having somebody homegrown, you know, like the George Foremans, the Frazier's, the Ali's, and stuff like that, dominating the heavyweight division like we've grown accustomed to doing for years, era after era. And, you know, this era of heavyweight boxing belongs to Europe. With the Klitschko's running everything. And you know America's not sitting right with that, but you know, it is what it is. These boys are cold. I mean, they're big, strong, and talented, and they got big power, and their dimensions are hard to deal with. They're tall and long and strong and skilled. And, you know, it's just tough to deal with. It's their era. They're dominant. They run it. They've been running it. The Klitschko brothers. You know? Like I said, Sam Peter, that's the guy I was talking about. When he started coming up through the ranks, big time power. And you know, heavyweight division is the glamour division. And everybody over 200 pounds got a punch. Unless you Chris Bird, who, you know, that wasn't his MO to knock you out. He was just trying to score points to win on the scorecards. You know what I'm saying? But even him, if he decided to sit down on his punch, maybe he could hurt a guy. I'm not sure, but it's the heavyweight division. Like I said, punches hurt. And anybody over 200 pounds has a decent punch. Well, Sam Peter didn't just have a decent punch. He had one punch power. He can get you out of there with one. And if he didn't get you out of there with one, he could at least hurt you with one. And he was coming up through the ranks, making a lot of noise. Everybody they put in the ring with him, he was getting them out of there easily. And he would compile a record of like 24-0. 21 knockouts until he ran into that boy, Vladimir. It wasn't Vitaly yet. It was Vladimir Klitschko. And Vladimir Klitschko, even though he went down several times in that fight, he disciplined Sam Peter and won the fight. And this would just be a series of, you know, just sad defeats for the Nigerian Nightmare, because everybody, I mean, a lot of people pegged him as the guy that carried the torch. The guy that bring the same type of excitement to the sport as a guy like Foreman, Tyson, big punchers in the game. And it just never happened for Sam Peter. He would end up fighting the other Klitschko, got his ass whooped by him too. He ended up fighting Eddie Chambers, Fast Eddie Chambers, and got beat by him too, got outboxed by Fast Eddie Chambers. And as of right now, where is Sam Peters? I mean, the last time I saw him personally, face to face, was in Dallas. He fought on an Omar Henry undercard. No, it wasn't Omar Henry undercard. It was Sam Peters' card. It was in Grapevine, Texas. Omar Henry was on the undercard. In fact, I saw Donald Curry at that fight. Took a picture of him. I think I got it on Boxing Socialist in my photo gallery, Ashley Knuckles photo gallery. A lot of people didn't even recognize the former champion. But anyway, I'm going off the topic. Sam Peter was another guy. Had built a big bandwagon of followers of guys saying he's the best, he's gonna take over, and it just did not happen. So as about right now, y'all probably saying, yo, those guys are not Keith Thurman. They didn't have the talent of the Keith Thurman. It wasn't a guy who could box and he can punch and he can put pressure on guys and get you out of there with one and persevere and adapt. Okay, I can name them all day long, actually. You know, I mean, I've seen guys like him come and go. You're going to have to show your boy Ash. You know what I'm saying? What about Joel Julio? I mean, Keith Thurman, same thing. He was a good amateur, had national titles and something like that. Same thing with Joel Julio. Joel Julio was undefeated as an amateur. I think he had like damn near 100 fights. He ain't lose none of them. He was like a two-time national champion in Colombia. So there was a lot of hype behind Joel Julio. He was knocking everything out. This guy could box. He can get you out of there with one. He can just outbox you for the decision if he needed to. And there was a lot of people on the bandwagon. And like Keith Thurman, he had the looks of somebody, who could be a star. He had the looks, that the girls will be attracted to. No homo, you know what I'm saying? De La Hoya, you've seen guys like that. I mean, you know how the business is in boxing. That's what they try to promote, guys who wear the total package. Don't matter if they're white, black, Mexican, Colombian, whatever. If you're promotable in terms of what they look for in terms of business, like Cotto and stuff like that, somebody that that can attract fans to seats, and you got skills and you got the intangibles and you got big power, you got speed. That's what they look for. But that was Joel Julio. Same thing. He was beating everybody they put in front of him. Guys who were supposed to give him rounds, whether they were tough travelers, journeymen, or tough contenders, he was getting them out of there. And he would compile a record of 27 and 0, I think. 25 knockouts. And then he ran into Carlos Quintana. Quintana before this fight was unknown, never been on American TV as far as I know, and I watch all fights, whether it's on ESPN, Telefutura, Telemundo. I don't care if I understand what the language is being spoken. If they throwing these hands, your boy Ash is watching. If I can, I got kids now. And Carlos Quintana would get in that fight with Joel Julio. Carlos Quintana being undefeated, Puerto Rican. And he just mixed this boy Joel Julio up for the 12th, for 10 rounds. I think it was a 10 rounder. And basically shortstop all that hype that he was getting, all those articles that was being written on him, how he was next, and he was going to be the next welterweight / light middleweight to win a world title and do great things. It just did not happen. Not saying Joel Julio wasn't a good fighter, but it just didn't happen for him in that fight. He got outboxed easily by Carlos Quintana. And Joel Julio was another guy that was promoted by Main Events with Kathy Duba. And, they've had a stream of unsuccessful fighters that they built up or tried to build up into the next star. It just didn't happen for Julio. It didn't happen for Quintana, too. He ran into a guy named, what's his name, Miguel Cotto, who beat the shit out of him. So, like I said, man, Joel Julio, another guy who showed promise, like Keith Thurman, and it just didn't happen for him. I mean, Julio would get it together. He would have a string of victories afterwards, and then he ran into Angulo, and he lost that fight, and he would get some victories after that, if I'm not mistaken. And he ran into Kirkland, and I think after James Kirkland touched that ass, it was over for him. So, I mean, y'all have to let me know, but I don't be checking these stupid refs. But I think he's done. I haven't seen him, haven't heard his name. I don't even know if he's even ranked. All I know is he was another guy like Keith Thurman, showing a lot of promise, and it just didn't happen for him. So, like I said, all these guys that own that Keith Thurman bandwagon, I'm not saying you wrong and stuff like that. I'm just saying a guy like me, been around for a long time. I've seen guys like him come and go, guys with these records. It's not padded, everything they done, they earned it. They got in the ring, they trained, they went in there and they handled their business. But until you fight somebody of note, somebody with a name where you just can't deny, you know what I'm saying? And all the accolades that's being given to him automatically becomes warranted. Until that happens, I'm not hopping on no bandwagon. I don't care who the fighter is. All the fighters have some type of vulnerabilities. Even Mayweather has some type of weakness. What it is, I don't know, because I'm like this. If I don't know what it is, you already know. All the elite trainers don't know. And out of all the guys that he fought, all these trainers who thought they knew what his weakness is, they weren't able to find out and reveal it to their fighter to the point where they can beat him. So I don't know what it could be. At first I thought it was pressure. That ain't it. Thought it maybe was size. That ain't it. Maybe it'll be age. I don't know. Maybe it's speed. Who knows? But for somebody to definitively say they know, you don't know, because it would have already been revealed by guys who've been doing this for years. So my whole thing is this, man. Be careful that you're crowning this guy. These are my reasons why I'm not on the bandwagon. I'm not saying he is, that he's not what he is. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it takes a little while for your boy Ash to just say, you know what, man, that's that dude. But as of right now, he's saying all the right things. He's doing all the right things. Let's see what happens in the future. 2014 is coming up. He's due for some type of big fight, a statement fight to basically put the world on notice, put the boxing world on notice. Obviously, the fighters know who he is by now. Some fighters are not trying to fight him. Let's see if everyone ducks him. It wouldn't be the first time, but that it's happened to a fighter. But well, let's see what happens. Until then, AB, and that ain't no Broner. That's Ashy Knuckles Boxing. I'm a holler, dude. What you doing?